Star Changers universe, where Shawn, you can have your own planet. Isn't that exciting?
Hey.
Totally. So, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Kat. I hope that you all have your beverage of choice. I have my coffee right here in my great full mug. I got this from my team back when I was working as a present for Bosses Day. So, and it was super sweet. They all gave me little notes of why they were grateful for me. And I love that. I love that. I love that I can actually provide basically a light in other people's lives, and it's always nice when people see that and they acknowledge it. So yeah. And today I actually have Coach. This is my brother from another mother. So we have Coach Shawn, and on the line here, and he is going to introduce himself. So I met him on Facebook, and we became, probably because of the common last name, but we became fast friends. And he's awesome. He's awesome. So supportive of me. And I just absolutely adore him. So Shawn, go ahead and introduce yourself to our group.
Sure, absolutely. And I appreciate my sister from another mister. So this is definitely awesome and very exciting and long overdue as well. I think as far as with our schedules, being the way that is. So, this is just divine timing. But so go ahead and introduce myself, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shawn White, and I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. New York native, born and raised. Also spent some time down in Miami, Florida as well. And I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here for about 5.5 years. As an online entrepreneur of 8.5 years, I have been able to acquire the skills as being a speaker, author, mentor, thought leader, coach as well. And I'm currently in school right now studying to be a hypnotherapist. So I've been able to acquire a lot of skills, and I just love people. I just love people. I'm really a people person, and this is going to be a fun interview for sure.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And Shawn actually has the week off this week from his job, and so he decided to join us today. I'm super excited about that. And so tell the audience, Shawn, as far as, I mean, I know you explained what you do. In the last, I believe that you said at one time in your life that you were homeless.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what changed in your life so that you are as successful as you are now? So what was that pivotal moment?
Yeah. So, and I share this with you. I'm off air, but what it really was for me was that when I was homeless about 5 years ago, and I was much at a very, very, very low point, and things wasn't going great, to be quite honest with you. I literally had two nickels to rub, and I was just really in a bad place emotionally, uh, spiritually, financially, of course, and you know, just really, if you're ever in a situation where you lost everything and you're in a setting where people just look down upon you and treat you almost like not even a second class citizen, as a third class citizen, there I was. So the pivotal point for me was that by divine intervention, literally, that's where my brand was in fact created. And it was kind of funny how the way it happened, right? Because I just came out of church and literally I sat down in a park bench and I was just watching, just reading the Bible. And all of a sudden I heard a voice. And it was kind of interesting, right? Because when I heard this voice, I'm thinking there's people around me, like somebody was talking to me, but I was the only one in the park. This is how I knew it was divine intervention. Have you ever seen the movie Matrix?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you remember that scene when Neo, he was actually walking through the streets and it was a crowd full of people, but everybody was just walking super slow, like time stood still.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened for me. And that's when my higher power, God, he reached out to me and he said that your brand will be called, well, it was called Team Inspiration. It's now been changed to Transformation Greatness. But that's when my calling and my brand was discovered. And he said, as far as that, you will become a $200 million earner to travel all around the world, motivating, encouraging, inspiring masses. I can go on and on, but it'll give me the short version. So the first time when I heard it, I was like, okay, I'm thinking like as far as, my mind's playing tricks on me. So I was like, okay, that's nice. But then the voice got even louder and people started to move even slower. And I felt like I was in a deep trance. That was a digital download that was being given to me. From that point forward, I said, you know something? Hey, I don't have anything else. So I believe. I believe. Within 2 weeks from that time, family, I was able as far as to get a job. Within 6 months, I was able to get the keys to my own apartment. And from that point forward, I've just been growing and I've just been learning and networking and just sharing my story any chance that I can get. And so it's amazing on what can happen when you're in a situation and you feel like that your back is against the wall and where you feel like that there's no hope. Believe me when I tell you that your higher power, God, whichever you believe in, the universe knows exactly on where you're at and how to get in contact with. And I'm telling you, if you just be open and receptive, beautiful things can happen. So it's a whole lot more to that, but that's
Oh, it sounds to me like you might just be needing to write a book.
funny you mentioned that. I've actually written 2 books. They're ebooks and they're short read. The first one is called
Okay.
A Line for Your Greatness. And that's about a gentleman from a male point of view on how he literally was down and out. He was considered as the underdog and the black sheep, and how he's been able to rise and he understood his calling and he's on a road to greatness. The second one, From Broke to Greatness, it comes from a female point of view, which is kind of similar, but it's a different twist on that. And I'm actually in the process of writing a third article for an organization which I'm a part of, which I cannot share about that, but that's going to be pretty great.
Oh, awesome. So awesome. So maybe you can post the links down in on the chat after we're done. But so there's some people that said good morning. My actual
Good morning.
mentor, Ian from the UK, said good morning.
Good
And
morning,
then
Ian.
he said my cup is so big. So, but it's really worth it, Ian. It's really worth it. And Shauna said good morning, and and then she said, so blessed that he got out of that situation. Many don't. So yes. But so hopefully, I don't know. Ian said that my volume is a little echoey. Do you feel it echoing? Can you hear it? I don't guess you can't feel it, but can you hear it?
I can hear you
Oh,
loud and clear.
okay. All right. So I did turn it down just a little bit, but awesome. So I'm super excited. I'm excited to read your books, and then also your third one, and that's what you're working on this week, I believe, plus your homework. So plus your homework. Oh, thanks, Shauna. Shauna said it sounds fine. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Awesome. So last week I did a free masterclass, which is also AKA free training for those people that don't know what a masterclass is. And we did basically mindset and how the mind works. And one of your loves in life is how the mind works. And it's because not a lot of people honestly know how the brain and the mind works. And so since it's Monday and Mindset Monday, and everybody's going to work, starting their jobs today, we are going to talk about mindset. And so we can get everybody off to a good start for the week. So with that said, what is your number one advice for people just in like the general population that don't understand how the mind works?
Yeah, my number one thing when it comes to mindset and how the way the mind works, you have to understand as far as how it works. You have to understand as far as like your trends or how like your habits. Because of the fact that as human beings, we are very habitual, right? We do things, in a habit, in a routine, rather. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to wake up here. So just like this morning, when you woke up, you have a routine, right? I have a routine in the morning. So it's very important to understand our habits and our routines. A lot of times when we are going through life, because of the fact we already developed these, particular habits, and we develop these rituals. So what happens now is that it's so unconscious that we're not even thinking about it. That's why a lot of times when people are trying to do certain things and it's not coming out the way that they would like for it to, that's where the frustration comes in. Is because they're not truly understand the habits and the routines because it's been so deeply rooted in. So understanding your habits is very, very important, especially the negative ones, right? Because if those particular habits are not suiting you, then you need to replace those as far as with new habits, with positive habits. And that's where I believe like the majority, the masses get kind of hung up, right? Not understanding, those particular patterns. It's like, well, this is something in which I do all the time, right? I'm pretty sure you get that a lot. So really just understanding human behavior and understanding how the way the brain works is so fascinating. And then when you understand it, now you have the tools as far as to, change certain things. And that's why I love hypnosis, because it's so therapeutic, it's so sacred, and it's amazing. It really, really is. So
Oh, awesome. Awesome. So if anybody has questions as far as for Shawn or for myself and how the brain and the mind works, let us both know. And then Ian said it's perfect now. And then he also said you two guys are excellent. So thank you, Ian. Yes, we are, and we know it. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I really, really do.
Thank you. So yeah, that's one of the things that I didn't really understand until a couple of years ago is how the brain and the mind work. And because we're accustomed to going to school to get a degree, to get a job, and we're all fit in this box. And that's where and then when you try to get out of that box, it's really hard it's honestly, it's just really hard. Because for 50 years you've been in this little box. And so really the only two ways that I know of to change your habitual like your patterns of thinking is an emotional reaction, like some kind of emotional reaction, something like 9/11, some kind of emotional something. And then you have to reverse the habitual habits that you have through actual new habits. And they, like you said, they have to be positive habits, and you have to do it like every single day. So for me, I write gratitude lists every single day, 10 things I'm grateful for every single day. Or because all people have learned their all people have learned how to behave, their subconscious behaviors, from when they were a child, and they
Correct.
didn't even know it.
Correct.
But yeah, so, and
Correct.
Ian added, there is no box, just mental barriers to your success. Absolutely, and I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, Coach Cat, because prior to me really getting into personal development, I didn't understand as far as like my attitudes, my behaviors, the way that I do things, the way that I interact with certain people, it mostly stemmed as far as like from childhood, primarily from my mother, right? I didn't know that. And so it's very interesting as I've gotten older, I noticed that I would do certain things just like my mother. It's like, wow, that's very interesting. So that is most certainly true. A lot of, I would say about 95% of the time it happens like that because from 0 to 7 or 0 to 8, we're in a stage that we're highly suggestible to everything, right? So we're at that point where we're watching, we're observing, we're seeing as far as on what our mom and dad is doing, how the way they're interacting, with one another. In school, we're learning as far as on how to communicate as far as with our classmates in kindergarten and first grade. So we're highly suggestible to every single thing. It's not only until we get into the stage between, I would say, like 9 and 12, where our critical mind starts coming to play. And what the critical mind basically means is that we're starting now as far as to filter in and be like, okay, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, that sort of thing. So that's where that comes into play, mostly as far as like as we're becoming teenagers. That's the reason why, if you really notice, that's the reason why teenagers are so rebellious, because of the fact that now the critical mind has been formed and teenagers are trying to find their way, right? They're really trying to find their way. They want to create their own identity. They have, as far as the attitudes and behaviors, which was picked up from the time from 0 to 7, and now trying to find their mark and trying to find their identity. And so when you become of age, especially when you become an entrepreneur, obviously those particular traits and those particular patterns, it comes over. But also too, another thing that comes over once you become an entrepreneur is other people's fears, other people's insecurities, doubts, self-limited beliefs, especially, that carries over as well. So that's the reason why that's the reason why, Coach Cat, somebody can say, I want to become a millionaire, right? And have great intentions. The conscious mind, the logical mind have great intentions. And you're like, yes, I believe in this person. Yes, they have conviction. It's amazing. But then when it comes down to doing the activities, to showing up, they're nowhere to be found, right? So there's a lot of inconsistency and congruency in that. And so you may be thinking on the outside looking in, well, this person is full of crap because they're saying one thing, but yet they're actually doing another thing. If you go deeper into that, it's the self-limited beliefs and patterns that's been picked up unconsciously. And so, in my opinion, since the conscious mind is 88%, it's the most dominant. So that's the reason why we have to do the work within and really start creating new habits and giving ourselves positive suggestions to put in our subconscious mind. If that's the case, if that's the most dominant and that mostly rules our life and our way of thinking, then it would make a lot of sense to start working on the subconscious mind to program it to what we wanted to believe and do.
Yeah. No, I 100%, 100% agree with exactly what you said as far as that goes. I've even heard it as high as that it's 97% subconscious mind and 3% conscious mind. And so when you really think about that, not many people unless they're like in our circle, really think about those things. I didn't. I know I didn't. And yeah, and it's just like, if that's what's ruling, like exactly what you said, if that's really what's ruling your behaviors, then there's something to that. There's something, you should be studying that. You should absolutely be studying it. And if you don't like your behaviors, then you need to do something about it.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ian said, I have to leave in 5 minutes, but you two guys are slamming it. Massive. Well done. So thank you, Ian. Thank you. So I certainly do appreciate you. And thank you for everybody that's leaving comments. I appreciate you, all of you. So if you have questions for Coach Shawn, just let us know, or for me. We both, he's studying hypnosis, and then I've studied the mind as well. And it's kind of it's one of those things I absolutely love. I love that whole concept. And one of the other things that, because people don't quite understand why they behave the way they do. Like,
Correct.
for example, some people can go into a room and meet a stranger, and they're scared and they're nervous about that. Or another person will go into a room and meet a stranger, and they're excited to meet that person. So it's the same behavior, but it's the same behavior, but like a different result, as far as like, why is one person excited and one person is scared? And it all stems back from something that's happened in the past, some kind of, and basically the fear center of the brain as well. It's like something has happened in the past that made them afraid, and that's why they behave the same way, this way, in the, like, nowadays. And so, but yeah, is there something that you can actually speak on as far as like the, what I just said, as far as like the fear center of the brain or behaviors like that? Like,
Yeah. So what happens is this, and I want everybody to, I want everybody to really grasp this. The subconscious mind, its primary function is to keep us safe. As human beings, we all have a fight, flight, or freeze response. And me and Coach Cat, we talked about that in the master class, which she did an absolutely amazing job on, by the way. So shout out to Coach Cat for that. So
there you go. There's my heart for you.
yeah, I hope that you do it once a week. I mean, because it's like amazing. But anyway, so what happens is that with the fight, flight, or freeze, with the fight, if you really bring it back as far as to the caveman days, and you remember as far as the caveman, and he would come up to like a dinosaur, and he would have like either a big rock or a big stick, right? And that T-Rex is coming at him. So now he's standing to fight and he's ready to kill. That's the fight. Say for instance, on the other hand, same scenario, he doesn't have any. The T-Rex is coming like, "Arr," and he's like, uh-oh, this don't look good. I'm out of here. So now he runs. Or if the T-Rex is in front of the caveman so close that the caveman cannot do anything, what happens now is that the body goes into a state of shock or a freeze. So what he's going to do now, he's going to lay down and play dead. So likewise, the same with us. When we're in certain situations, it comes about the fight, flight, or freeze for all of us. So depending upon the situation, depending upon the event, one of those factors is going to show up. Now, because of the fact that, again, our subconscious mind is all designed to keep us safe. So depending upon the event, whether it's traumatic, whether it's like emotionally taxing, just like 9/11 as you described, what happens now is that it becomes an imprint to the subconscious mind. And it's like, okay, you know what, Shawn? That was very horrific. That was very traumatic. I remember when it happened to you. So now, anytime a situation similar like that comes up, I have that imprinted in the mind for you to either get very defensive or aggressive, or run for the situation, or just freeze up and don't do anything. Right. And that can translate in business. Like if you're doing like a big project, or if you have to speak in front of 1,000 people, that's the reason why people get stage fright and they will just freeze up, even though they rehearse, for like 6 months straight. They know what they're going to say. They know why they're going to say it, but as soon as they get on stage, they just freeze. It's natural, right? It's something that's built in the subconscious mind. So when you understand that, and that's the reason why when you understand the subconscious mind. And when you really start doing the work, it's a term in which that we say in hypnotherapy, it's called peeling the onion. When you really start peeling those layers back, now you're able to get to the root cause and you really start to able to address that. And how you address that? You open the subconscious mind, you get to the subconscious mind to where now this subconscious mind becomes impressionable and open to your suggestions. And now you start the process of putting in positive suggestions. Because again, the subconscious mind doesn't know as far as on what's real and what's not. And that's how that works. There's certain instances, of course, it can be where, you just get an aha moment, you would get a breakthrough. But more times than not, us as people, since we're very complex, we've been through a few things in our lives, right? It's not that simple, right? So, yeah.
Oh, awesome. So you had a question and then you answered the question while you were talking. So Shauna had asked, how do you get past the fear of change? And you basically answered it with what you were talking about, because now she's like, he answered my question. And
The fair change, it's a lot more to that. I just really gave you the short version. If that's something in which that they would like to know more on, by all means, they can go ahead and connect with me. And, it's something that I can go ahead and do like a practice session with them, in which, it's a little bit more to that, but that's pretty much the short version.
But yeah, well, and the fear of change, I mean, especially because I know Shauna, I've known her since I was probably 5. And we both lived basically in the same state. And we were both here and we've both gone through divorces and stuff. And then, but it's interesting because like I have that fear of change too, because I was supposed to move out of state and I never did. And it was just that fear. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be away from my family. What am I going to do? And then I never actually moved. And hindsight's 2020. I kind of feel like I feel like I wish I would have moved out of state, because I think you grow more when you don't have that your family like right next door or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, and that's just my experience. That's what happened with me. And so, but yeah, I think everybody has some kind of fear, some fear, whether it's fear of change.
Yeah.
But I personally, I know what my fear is, and it's my fear of success. And it's just so weird to me. And it's a weird one to overcome. It's, I don't know where that comes from either. And I still got to peel back the layers of the onion.
The fear of success, more times than not, and that's something too where I have like a major fear on, right? The fear of success. And what I discovered is that it's more so the reason why you have that fear is because it's something that's inside of you that you fear that may come out ugly. And allow me to explain what I mean. That, say for instance, that if your goal was to, I don't know, be a household name in terms of culture, right? To be the top 3 or top 5 coaches in the world. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you have adopted this belief that if you were to be successful, to be within the top 3 or top 5, that somehow, some way you would either be arrogant or you would be conceited or you would just be like a mean person. So somewhere down the line, was there a particular instance or a situation that you can think of, Coach Cat, where you was in a position, you was really successful at your craft or at your business, but yet maybe it could have been, I don't know, maybe, you have like pressures as far as to get certain things done, and maybe you were kind of maybe snooty or maybe I don't know.
I'm sure that that's happened. I'm not gonna disregard. I'm sure that because I've always pretty much been in management positions as far as in corporate America. I held management positions, and middle managers they're kind of right smack in the middle. They get the flack from the top and then the flack from the bottom, and I'm not gonna deny that maybe I came across snooty or something. That's not my intention, but maybe if I was busy or something like that, I probably did.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where. So what happens that when that happened, and how did the other party take it?
Not well. Not well.
Not well.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened is subconsciously, because of a party, and I apologize to somebody that's outside there actually blowing one apartment complex. So what happened? So what happened was this: in your mind, it created an event that the message at the other party, they didn't take it well, and in turn, it made you feel bad, and you felt like there was some guilt and some shame behind that. But it was because, and you didn't do it intentionally, you wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but you were pressed for time and you had to get certain projects done. But in your mind, it registered as like, so this is what happens when I get successful, that I will be mean or I will be pushy or arrogant. So that's where the fear of success, if you really go down to the core of it, that would be a great indicator to start from.
That's interesting. So, because I can see what you're saying as far as my personal, like what has happened to me, and then also when I've seen, not a lot now that I'm in a different circle, but like in corporate America, when you see successful females, a lot of times they're very mean, and I was like, and so maybe that's part of it. And unfortunately, and that's just my opinion as far as like in corporate America, those were the experiences that I had seen and I had for super successful females. And so I bet you anything that's part of my fear. Interesting. So, you know what? We are actually out of time, and I'm like having so much fun. So that means that we're gonna have another time with Shawn, because we were only doing 30 minutes, and that fast. Can you believe how fast that went?
Whoa.
Yeah. So, so you have to come back on, because this was really good, and I think that people actually really need to listen to and honestly understand the subconscious mind. And so, so if anybody has any other questions for Shawn, then let me know, and then I will have Shawn on again, because this has been fantastic. So I've enjoyed our conversation. Absolutely, it was great. Absolutely great. And so if you have I will post Shawn's social media, how you can get in touch with him if you have any other questions. And then, so I'm super grateful, Shawn. Thank you so much.